The invisible impact. What is the invisible impact? Going through my entire life, I've always felt like I had to be in a position to where people saw me and to where people, knew who I was or knew what I did. But throughout my last years of high school, I did this thing called Young Life, and that brought me to doing what I like to call work crew, and it's where I get placed at a random camp in any state in America. Basically, there's a couple in Colorado. There's one out in Oregon and in Alaska. There's one out in Washington, the state. There's one in Jasper, Georgia. There's two in the Carolinas. There's one in Texas. There's one in Minnesota. They're all over. There's two in New York. They're all over the Americas and all over the world. There's plenty of Young Life camps in Uganda, in Scotland, and the Slavic countries. And throughout this process, I got placed in a camp called Lake Champion in Glen Spray, New York. It's a camp about 2 hours northeast of New York City. And going into it, I was a server, so I'd be out in front of people. And I liked it, but it wasn't my thing. It was very repetitive and stuff, but throughout, I got asked to stay again for another month. So serving was from the month of June 5th to June 5th to June 28th. So it was 25 days, June 5th through the 30th. And then I got asked to stay for June 30th to July 28th, so another couple days. And that second month, I found out what the invisible impact was. The invisible impact was when I was in the back of the kitchen washing dishes for 9 hours a day, day in and day out. Every day it was the same dishes. I knew exactly what was for breakfast. I'd been there before. And so I washed the same dishes every day for 25 days. And that brought me a lot of joy and a lot of satisfaction with my life, because I was part of the invisible impact. What is the invisible impact? The invisible impact is when you're washing these dishes and these kids don't know who you are. These dishes, some of them might think that these dishes magically appear. Some of them might think that these dishes are just replaced. That they're not real. Well, they are real, but I was in a group called the PITS, and what the PITS is, it's an acronym that stands for People in the Sinks. It's something that is universal through all Young Life camps that everybody does. The PITS. The PITS is awesome. It was a group of 6 people. It was me, David, Liam, Tony, Caroline, and Ellie, and then I guess 7 if you count our boss Josh, our PITS boss Josh. We worked every day, 9 hours a day together in this impact that's in this area that's about as big as my dorm room. Washing dishes. I was actually a loader. Tony was a washer. David was another loader. And Liam was D-Pits, and Caroline and Ellie were the unloaders at the other end, because it was about a washing machine from here to my window, which is about 3 feet back from where I'm standing. And the impact that I had on these kids was making life easier for them to learn about the gospel of Jesus. And the impact that I had, the invisible impact I had, was making these kids not have to worry about, well, do I have to, clean my dishes? No, the servers come out and take them from you, and they bring them back to us to clean, and it gives life so much easier for these kids to just be able to be more open and not have anything to worry about to learn about the gospel of Jesus. And throughout this this time that I did it, I grew really close to the guys, especially the guys, David and Liam and Tony and Josh, who I all talked to, all guys that I talked to. Josh is only like 26, I think, which is crazy. But I had the invisible impact of being able to make life easier for these kids throughout throughout the week at camp and throughout the month that I was there for the 4 different groups, because there were groups from Boston and Queens and the Bronx, and I think there was a group from Milwaukee. There was a group from Baltimore. So these weren't like these were underprivileged. A lot of them were underprivileged. A lot of them didn't eat home cooked meals very often. It was a lot of fast food, is what they told me when I went to their cabins. And they didn't know that I was doing that. They didn't know that I completely volunteered, that I wasn't getting paid to do any of this. And that impact really brought out a good amount of joy and love that I had for these kids who didn't know who I was. You know, the joy and love that Christ had for them through me, to be able to sit there and wash the dishes and do the dirty work, so that these kids wouldn't have to worry about that, and that these kids could, you know, therefore go out and live their life and have fun with their friends at camp and love on each other and be loved by us, the work crew, and the summer staff, college-age kids, which I will be doing. Again, this summer at a camp, I will be a AM cook, which means they won't know who I am either, which is kind of the whole point of why I do this, is to invisibly give kids, impact their lives the way Christ did. Christ has impacted my life invisibly because I haven't seen him. So there's that. My name is William Bryan, and this was the Invisible Impact speech.